Good morning, students! Welcome to our discussion. We are going to tackle about the main researchers of ESP and how organization journal works under ESP. So before we proceed to our discussion, let me explain the objectives of our topic first. So at the end of the lesson, students are expected to first, explain each researcher's theory. Second, differentiate each theory. And third, identify the connection between organization journal and ESP. So I hope everyone is feeling okay so that we can have an interactive learning. Make sure that you are comfortable with yourself so we can focus on our discussions. Now class, before we start our discussion, I need your cooperation as we are going to have an activity to liven your brain. It is called Pick Two Word. Are you familiar with this game, my dear students? If yes, then you can answer this game. But if no, then I will be explaining its mechanics to you. In a Pick Two Word, the player will read four pictures to form a word. The puzzles can be a combination of the pictures, a home name, or what the pictures sound like. You will be guessing a word based on their meanings. And in every picture, you only have 5 seconds to answer. And I will be revealing the answers at the end of the lesson. So be prepared, guys. So this is the first one. Time's up. The second one. Okay, next. So the third one. Time's up. And the last one. Okay, thank you, class. You did great. So now, let us start our lesson proper. The first researcher that we are going to talk about is Anthony Lawrence. Did you know that Anthony is a professor at Waseda University in Japan? Yes, he is. According to him, ESP is not only for ESP by itself, but it has a broad function. He argued that to his own definition of ESP. He believes that it has branches of functions. It has ESP for vocational purposes, ESP for academic purposes, and ESP for professional purposes. His theory conducted a conference at Japan together with the English teachers, consultant, and ESP practitioner. And that is how Anthony Lawrence viewed ESP. So let's move on to the next researcher, which is Dudley Evans. A modified definition of ESP was presented by Dudley Evans at the 1997 Japan Symposium on ESP. It was actually thought of as a better rendition of Peter Striven's ESP. Evans significantly changed and extended the number of variable features in Striven's definition of ESP, eliminating the absolute characteristics that ESP is in contrast with General English. 3 absolute and 5 variable criteria make up Dudley definition. So there are 3 absolute characteristics of ESP by Tony Dudley Evans. And here are the first one. ESP is defined to meet the specific needs of the learners. Second, ESP makes use of the underlying methodology and activities of the discipline it serves. Third, ESP is centered on the language appropriate to these activities in terms of grammar, lexis, register, study skills, discourse, and genre. We have also here the 5 variable characteristics of ESP by Tony Dudley Evans. So the first one, ESP may be related to or designed for specific disciplines. Second, ESP may use in specific teaching situations a different methodology from that of general English. The third one, ESP is likely to be designed for adult learners, either at a tertiary level institution or in a professional work situation. It could, however, be for learners at the secondary level. The fourth one, ESP is generally designed for intermediate or advanced students. And the last one, most ESP courses assume some basic knowledge of language systems. The characteristics show that ESP can be used in a variety of fields and is not necessarily targeted at any certain age or level of ability or even a particular discipline. He contends that ESP ought to be encouraged in secondary or intermediate education. He asserted that at this point, real learning material is very useful and can be altered and left unaltered in a way that makes it the primary property of ESP. It places a focus on individual research and study work. Evans thought that ESP could be taught at the secondary level, allowing a high school student who wants to work in the medical sector in the future to self-study the words and proper English usage. It should simply be viewed as a method of instruction, or what Dudley Evans refers to as an attitude of mind. This presumption is similar to that put out by Hutchinson and Waters, who claim that ESP is a technique of teaching languages in which all decisions regarding the content and methodology are dependent on the learner's purpose. So have you learned something from how Dudley Evans' theory of ESP? Okay, let's move on to the next researcher. She is Diane Belcher in 2006. According to her, ESP needs assessment and its goals, specificity in instructional methods, and the role of subject knowledge in instructor expertise. Two strands of current theory and research are next surveyed, namely genre theory and corpus-enhanced genre studies, and critical pedagogy and ethnographies, followed by examples of research and theory-informed pedagogical strategies for literacy and spoken discourse. This theory explains that even those instructor and teacher need an assessment to be knowledgeable enough in instructional methods and even in the role of subject knowledge, because an instructor needs to adjust himself to be at least has a knowledge in a particular part of the field, because if the instructor instruct his students in the field of engineering, for example, he or she must be at least knowledgeable to be able to share and instruct something in the learners, considering the different cultural backgrounds, expertise, and the enhanced genre of the field in the essence of the theory of Diane Belcher. Do you understand the theory of Diane, everyone? Okay, let's move on to the last one. Organization Journal. Organization Journal is a peer-reviewed academic journal that covers the field of management and organization studies. Meaning to say, it involves articles that are written by experts and are reviewed by several other experts in the field before the article is published. It needs to be checked in order to ensure the article's quality and whether it is fit for publication or whether it requires further refinement. Articles that pass through this process are published in the peer-reviewed literature. What is the importance of peer-reviewed journal? Peer review has become the foundation of the scholarly publication system because it effectively subjects an author's work to the scrutiny of other expertise in the field. Thus, it encourages authors to strive to produce high-quality research that will advance the field. Let me give you one example of organization journal. The International Association of Teachers of English as a Foreign Language, or other known as the IATEFL. What is IATEFL? It is an organization in the field of English language learning and teaching. Its purpose is that they offer scholarships to promote professional development and support greater cooperation and interaction within the global ESP community. What is the connection between Organization Journal and ESP? The English Journal is a journal of ideas for English language arts teachers in junior and senior high school and middle schools. It presents information on the teaching, writing and reading, literature and language. Each issue examines the relationship of theory and research to classroom practice and reviews current materials of interest to English teachers, including books and electronic media. Okay class, I assumed you've learned something from our discussion. So at this moment, let's check out our first activity before proceeding to our assessment. So now, the answer of Pick 2 word number 1 is Anthony Lawrence. Okay, the next Pick 2 words answer is Tony Dudley Evans. The third Pick 2 word is Diane Belcher. And the last one is Organization Journal. How did it go, students? Is your all answers are correct? Don't be sad if you got a low score, because you still have a chance to get a better score, for we are going to test your understanding with regards to our lesson. Get yourself ready because we will have an assessment. Okay, let's start. Question number 1. According to blank, ESP needs assessment and its goals, specificity in instructional methods, and the role of subject knowledge in instructor expertise. A. Anthony Lawrence. B. Diane Belcher. C. Dudley Evans. Okay, number 2. According to blank, ESP is not only for ESP by itself, but it has a broad function. A. Anthony Lawrence. B. Diane Belcher. C. Dudley Evans. Okay, number 3. A modified definition of ESP was presented by blank at the 1997 Japan Symposium on ESP. A. Anthony Lawrence. B. Diane Belcher. C. Dudley Evans. Okay, number 4. It is a peer-reviewed academic journal that covers the field of management and organization studies. A. Journal. B. Academic. C. Organization journal. Okay, last number. Blank is a professor at Waseda University in Japan. A. Anthony Lawrence. B. Diane Belcher. C. Dudley Evans. Okay class, let's check your answers. So for number 1, we have Diane Belcher. For number 2, we have Anthony Lawrence. For number 3, Dudley Evans. And for number 4, we have organization journal. And for number 5, we have Anthony Lawrence. So that ends our discussion for today, and see you next time. We are from Group 2. Thank you for watching.